Hello, welcome to News Central Television and this special occasion of Zambia's commemoration of its 58th independence anniversary. Good morning to you wherever you are in Ndola, Livingston, Lusaka, or anywhere in Zambia. We bring you the special independence broadcast here on News Central Television. In the course of the day, we will be looking at politics, governance, and history and the economy of Zambia in the past 58 years. I am Gbenga Aborowa.
And I'm Blessings Mosugu. The beautiful Southern African country is celebrating its 58th independence today, and we are super excited right here at News Central Television. Now, we will be looking at the politics, and let me just say, Gbenga, Zambia is really a beautiful country. I mean, it's rich in water, of course, copper, and my favorite, which is the Victoria Falls, which they call Musiwatunya. Yes, I hope I got that right.
The water that thunders.
Yeah, yes. Something about thunder. I never get it. I mean, it is a beautiful country. And today we will be looking at Zambia. And that is a country that so many people refer to as the best kept secret of Africa, because it is untapped indeed. So I would like to say Modishani to all my Zambian friends around the world. And also, congratulations and happy 58th independence anniversary to you. And right now we'll be looking at a package, Gbenga.
Just to kickstart our program for today, it would be nice for you to look at the history of Zambia, especially the polity of a body nation.
Zambia immediately became a republic upon attaining independence in October 1964. From 2011 to 2014, Zambia's president had been Michael Sata until Sata died on the 28th of October 2014. After Sata's death, Vice President Guy Scott, a Zambian of Scottish descent, became acting president of Zambia. Politics in Zambia takes place in a framework of a presidential representative democratic republic, whereby the president of Zambia is both head of state and head of government in a pluriform multi-party system. The government exercises executive power, while legislative power is vested in both the government and parliament. Presidential elections were held on the 22nd of January 2015. A total number of 11 presidential candidates contested in the election, and on 24th of January 2015, it was announced that Edgar Chagwa Lungu had won the election to become the 6th president in a tightly contested race. He won 48.33% of the vote, a lead of 1.66% over his closest rival, Hakainde Hichilema, with 46.67%. 9 other candidates all got less than 1% each. In August of 2016, during the Zambian general elections, President Edgar Lungu won the re-election narrowly in the first round of the election. The opposition had allegations of fraud, and the governing Patriotic Front, PF, rejected the allegations made by the opposition UPND party. In the 2021 general elections, characterized by a 70% voter turnout, Hakainde Hichilema won 59% of the vote, with his closest rival, incumbent President Edgar Chagwa Lungu, receiving 39% of the vote. On the 16th of August, Edgar Lungu conceded in a TV statement, sending a letter and congratulating President-elect Hakainde Hichilema. On the 24th of August 2021, Hakainde Hichilema was sworn in as the new president of Zambia in a ceremony attended by many heads of states, including the head of Commonwealth, and it was held at the Heroes Stadium in the capital city, Lusaka. The Zambian Defense Force, ZDF, consists of the Zambian Army, the Zambian Air Force, and the Zambian National Service. The ZDF is designed primarily against external threats. In 2019, Zambia signed the UN Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons. Zambia is administratively divided into 10 provinces, subdivided into 117 districts, and electorally into 156 constituencies, as well as 1,281 wards. Happy Independence Day, Zambia.
Happy Independence Day indeed, Zambia, and I'm sure you learned a few things from that package brought to you by our team here at News Central Television. And Blessings and I will not be doing this alone today. We have the opportunity to have very important resource persons from Zambia to help us celebrate and commemorate this 58th independence anniversary. And joining us live from the Zambian capital, Lusaka, we have political activist Thomas Sipalo. We also have from Livingston, Neto Halwabala is the provincial spokesperson of the Southern Province. Gentlemen, happy Independence Day to you and a warm welcome to you to this special broadcast.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for joining us, Thomas and Neto.
Happy Independence to all Zambians, both here and abroad.
You're welcome. Now, I'd like to start with you, Thomas. Today is the 58th independence anniversary of the Republic of Zambia. What's the significance of this day when it comes to politics in your country, and how has it been celebrated by Zambians across the country?
Independence Day means a lot to us all Zambians because it's the day when we were elected from our colonial masters to be independent. Therefore, it's a great day that all the Zambians come up together to celebrate this day. It's a very, very, very important day for all of us Zambians. However, as you all know, after independence, that was 1964 to 1991, we're in one-party state, and we didn't have much to say. But now, because of democracy, all the people put aside their political affiliation to celebrate this day, which makes a lot of sense to each and every loving Zambian.
Okay, I would like to bring in Neto now, and let's still talking about the politics now. Let's look at it from a vantage point. And we understand that there have been 9 presidential elections so far, and 4 different political parties have ruled since the country became a multi-party system in 1991. Now, what do you say about the politics? Do you say that there has been a level of development when it comes to moving from a single-party system to a multi-party system? What would you say the differences have been?
Thank you very much. I must start by stating the fact that I think today is a special day for us as Zambia, because this is the day when we remind ourselves as a country on where we are coming from, where we are, and where we are going as a country. Now, to answer your question on what are some of the developments in terms of politics, for us as a country, I think politically we have scored as a country because Zambia has been a beacon of peace for the past 58 years, and we are proud as a country. Now, hello?
We're with you, Neto. Please go on.
Okay, thank you. So what I was saying is that as a country, we are a beacon of peace. We've been very peaceful for the past 58 years, and I'm sure you know that in 1991, the people of Zambia decided to bring in multipartyism. And from that time going forward up to today, we have been having peaceful the change of government. We've never had bloodshed. We've been able to change leadership from one government to another without exchanging bullets. That in itself shows how this country has remained united and how this country has respected our forefathers who fought for independence struggle, because what was there in their mind was to make sure that the 73 ethnic groups should be united. And that's what we have continued as a country. I can tell you that in an environment where there's no peace, you cannot enjoy democracy and development. So all the development that has been scored so far in Zambia is as a result of the peaceful environment that we as the people of this country decided that we must be united regardless of our political affiliation, the religion, the race, the creed. And this, it's one of the components that makes us united, because what we believe is that Zambia is a Christian nation, and therefore everyone is viewed as a human who deserves respect.
Thank you very much, Neto. Now, back to you, Thomas. I can't just... your dressing is quite instructive, and it catches one's eye. I would like to ask you if there's any significance to what you're wearing today, in significance to Zambia's Independence Day. Would you like to explain to our viewers why you decided to dress in a prison uniform?
Wow. If you are to look at us as Zambians, on our national flag, we've got orange, which I'm putting on, and we've got red in the background, which represents the blood that was shed when our forefathers were fighting for independence. But the reason why I'm putting on this coat is to tell you, to say that we are independent and yet not economically independent, in the sense that, 58 years down the line, from the time we got independent up to today, we are a country that is not dependent on ourselves, on the natural resources that we have. So, in short, what I can tell you is that I am free, but not free economically. In short, I'm an economic convict. So, what I'm trying to say is that, if you have to look at where we are today, we are 58 years down the line from the time we got independence. We have a lot of natural resources, but we can't use our natural resources to survive. We are still going back to our colonial masters to go and beg for what is needed for us to survive as a country, which I feel doesn't make sense at all.
So, Thomas, what do you think is responsible for this? Where did Zambia get it wrong? And on an occasion like this, 58 independence anniversary celebrations, you say Zambia is not economically free. And we also know the situation with Zambia's debt with China. So why is this an issue?
The issue, I think, is leadership. And this is a problem that I always have with a lot of African leaders. Because, Africa, we are very rich in resources. We've got the minerals. We've got a lot of water bodies. Our soil is so rich, But it's so surprising that our leaders all the time have to trot to go to IMF and the World Bank. Sometimes they go to the Eastern countries to go and beg from donors so that we can start surviving, and yet we can use our own local resources to sustain ourselves. So the question that I always ask our leaders is, as you leaders, what are your plans? Because I don't think borrowing is sustainable. For how long are we going to borrow as a country? How long are we going to borrow as Africa when we can make that money ourselves? Like recently, we were just given a debt from IMF, and the people were celebrating, and they were celebrating. I sat down and I was thinking, okay, fine, we've been given a debt. Then what? When that time to pay comes, we can't afford to pay. Then what happens to us? It's time as a country we start now using the resources that we have, making sure that we take advantage of the little that God has given us. Let's try to promote small industry so that they can be bringing in money. Let's make sure we promote young entrepreneurs. Let's make sure that we are self-sustainable, because right now, whatever we have in this country is from outside. This is a country that is very rich. We've got copper, we've got everything, but we would rather export copper as a raw material instead of making finished products here so that we can make money, which doesn't make sense to me. If we are blessed with resources, why are we suffering? That's why I always say we are economic convicts, because we are free but not free. As Africa, as Zambia, and many other countries, what we need to do is we need to come up together and come up with ideas that are going to help our economic growth. Borrowing does not help the economy in any way. You borrow the own of the money, after 4 or 5 years, the own of the money, you need the money with interest. And one thing you need to understand is that every time we borrow, this money comes with conditions. If you don't meet these conditions, sometimes there are sanctions that are given. The question that I always ask myself is that the policies that we come up with are mostly just political to please the people. They are not long-term plans. These are plans where what we just get, we consume, and it ends there. We need to start coming up with plans and policies that are going to stand a test of time.
All right, thank
now,
you for that. Thank you for the suggestions, Thomas. And your solutions and suggestions are actually spot on. But as time goes on, we will be talking about the economy much further. But I want to bring us back to politics. And I will be bringing this question to Neto. Speaking of being free, but not totally free, Neto. Now, we have seen that one of the things that made the former president, Edgar Lungu, become quite unpopular in his last days in his regime is the fact that the people of Zambia claim that he had a certain level of disregard for the human rights there. And it was on the back of that Hakainde Hichilema wrote when he was appointed as president. So from then till now, what will be your assessment of the progress as to the human rights in the country? Has there been any major development or progress when it comes to respect for human rights in Zambia?
Well, thank you very much. And I like the background that you raised. And as a party in government now, we want to make sure that our performance yardstick should not only end at the performance of the previous leadership. We need to look at from 1991 when we came into multipartyism. So for us as a party in government now, the first thing that we had to do was to make sure that there's no one who should be denied police bond or bail as long that person meets the legal requirement. What used to happen in the past is that some people were being detained, arrested before investigation. The president has made it very clear that we should have police officers who are professional and they should not hurriedly detain people without investigation. I'm sure the world is still alive to the fact that our Republican president now spent 127 days in prison for capital punishment without following the due process of the law. And that's what we have said it should not happen, not during our time as a party in government. We have made certain progress. I think I'll tell you that in any democracy, everything is a process. It's not an event. I know there are certain things that has not been up to speed the way we want them to be done. But I think my colleague will agree with me that if we are to compare what used to happen in the past and what the current government is doing, I think there's much progress and everyone is able to tell that. I think in terms of human rights, I think the people of Zambia, not only the people of Zambia, everyone who is domiciled within Zambia, he has been treated as a human being who have human rights that needs to be respected. And that is what the president has said. We want to make sure that people of Zambia are subjected to the standard of universal human rights standard. We don't want to have a situation whereby as a country, we have different laws on how to treat Zambians. So for us as a party in government, as much as I don't want to praise ourselves because it's something that should come from people. I think so far from the feedback that we are receiving, there's much progress in that direction.
But Thomas, do you agree with that as an advocate of freedom? I mean, albeit you mentioned economic freedom, but do you agree with the fact that there is development in the political sphere as regards respect for human rights?
I don't agree with him in the sense that what has changed just the colors in the political party, but the behavior still remains the same. You know, most political opponents have been detained, even up to now, and are being detained. And the most abused clause of them all being cited is defamation of the president, which to me doesn't make sense. And sometimes you find that we've had instances where a political opponent would just say something more like a metaphor. And if the political supporters of the president hears that, they will report him in the remotest parts of the country. And that person will be picked up and taken to that remotest part of the country without any investigation. And we've had some political opponents who've been detained for weeks without trial. So,
but Thomas, sorry to interrupt you. That law has been in the Zambian constitution before Hakainde Hichilema became president.
Yeah. And the sub-president, the current president now, in his campaigns before he became president, that's one of the laws that he condemned to the fullest. He even said the moment he's going to become president, that's one of the useless laws that he's going to make sure that it's abolished from the laws of Zambia. But unfortunately, 1 year down the line, that law is still being used to fight opponents, which I don't feel is all right. You know, we've had instances in Zambia where those from the opposition are not given permits to protest. And yet you see those that are in support of the current government protest without any permit within the shortest possible period of time. You can go there to the police. You go with your an application for the protest. When it's there, they ask you, what are you going to do? The moment they are going to read that letter and get the content of why you want to protest, just know that they will tell you to say, we don't have manpower, you can't go on with your protest. Okay. When the day of a protest comes, you say, okay, fine, you don't have manpower, let's protest. The police from nowhere, they will just come, the manpower will be there to take you to
now, Thomas, this Independence Anniversary celebration will be the second that President Hakainde Hichilema will be celebrating in his presidency. He just, a few months ago, turned 1 year in office. What is your assessment of Zambia, of President Hakainde Hichilema's administration in general, away from human rights, the politics, the economy, the governance? Has he lived up to the expectations of Zambians, and is he working towards fulfilling his electoral promises?
I would say yes and no. He's done well in other fields, like right now, as I'm talking, there's free education in Zambia. The moment when he came, he introduced free education in Zambia, which is a good thing, because, you know, every society needs people who are educated. People need to go to school, which is a good thing. In terms of the economy, he's done well. The economy is well on paper, though down there's no trickle-down effects to the people, you know. On the street, there's no money. People are still complaining. People are still living in poverty. But on paper, we are doing very, very, very fine. And again, if you are to look at the health sector, I think they've failed. That they failed because if today you go in hospitals, most of the hospitals, they don't have medicine. But their supporters, miraculously, most of the time, if you talk about certain things like this, you get a lot of insults and they'll say no because you are opposing. What they don't understand is that after each election, we need to become Zambians. We need to be patriotic to the country. We need to hold our government accountable. We need to be honest. The issue of praising governments that are in power and forgetting about the country is what is killing us. People who are for will always find something against the people who are against. And by so doing, you find that some certain things are not being done well. But overall, education-wise, it's done well. The health, I think it's failed. In terms of creating employment, he's employed a lot of people. He's employed nurses, employed some teachers. Right now, they're employing some soldiers and everything. I think on that, he's doing very, 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 very fine. However, I feel employing only in government makes our economy also a bit stressed, because those people need salaries, we need everything. What he needs to do now, I think he needs to also push for the industries, you know, to come back. Because when we were in one party state, we had a lot of industries, but it came MMD, they sold most of those industries and they were closed and a lot of people became jobless. So as they are employing in government, let them also try to push those that can go into agriculture, those that can go into industries. You know, let the small and medium enterprise ministry, which he fought, which I feel at the moment the idea was good, though the execution to me I haven't seen any fruits from it. That means we can use it, we can revamp our industries to make sure that we put a lot of jobs for the youth. Because, you know, in every society, there are people that are educated and people who are not educated. For the people that are educated, I would give kudos to the president. He's done very well. But the plans for those that have never gone far with education, I think there we still have a lot to do. Like where I come from, the people that I represent from the compound, myself, I'm from the ghetto. Most of the people are not very educated. So, in short, in the planning of the country, there's nothing for us, the people who are not very educated. Because those who are educated, yes, will get jobs here and there. But what about those that are not educated? Because there are people that are not educated, but they can do business, they can do other things. What are the plans? I can give you an example. When the president came in, CDF should be 2-point-something million or so, but it was increased to 25.7 million, which is good. And he even made it very clear. He said this money should help the country develop in terms of decentralization. He's going to make sure that each constituency gets that money and uses that money within the constituency. But what is happening is that money is inaccessible. Right now, as I'm speaking, most of the constituencies, this is 1 year down the line, in a month time will be in December. How many people have accessed the CDF in terms of empowerment, in terms of loans or anything? Nothing. The document which they came up with is too complicated for an ordinary Zambian to understand, especially that money was meant for the people who are not very educated. Why make the document so complicated that you can't access the funds? Because as I'm speaking, I'm now quoting the Minister of Finance. He even said it when he was opening Parliament to say 75% of the monies was dispersed in all the constituencies, but only 10% was accessed. Now, if only 10% is accessed, then that's a failure because we're only remaining with 1 month to start using the other budgets. Then where is that money going to go? It means the past 1 year, the constituencies haven't developed. So what I'm urging the president to do now is to make that money accessible for everyone. That money is made for the people who are not very educated, the lowest standing people in our society.
All right, thank you for that, Thomas. Because of our time, we will not be able to go deeply into that. But thank you for that analysis. Now, while we were talking, there were live feeds from the celebrations going on in Lusaka. Presently, you can see the people rejoicing and happy. It is the 58th anniversary of Zambia. Now, it is... pardon me, Samfia district. The celebrations are going on in Samfia district. Now, thank you once again, Thomas. Well, since we're still talking about Hakainde Hichilema's administration, we're still putting that on the spotlight. I would like to still bring in Neto to talk about this administration. Now, when Hakainde Hichilema came into power, he made some appointment just immediately after he was appointed president. And then a lot of people, I mean, this sparked a lot of criticism. Some people say that he didn't know what he was doing and his appointments were strictly sentimental, while some people think that he knew what he was doing. Now, a few months or some months down the line, would you say that those people he appointed into power were basically because of his sentiment or because he had it all planned out?
Thank you. I'll come back to your question, but let me try to highlight on my colleague's lamentation. I think most of his lamentation has been already answered as a party in government. I'll start with the issue of defamation of the president. That law has been sitting in our statute for so many years. And what we are now doing as a government is to make sure that we repeal. I'm sure you are aware that the cabinet has already approved, and right now it is in parliament. So this law, it is not in tandem with the democracy, because you cannot be in a democracy and where you want to suppress people's freedom of expression, freedom of speech. So that issue has been attended to. Coming to the point of the CDF, where he said, I totally agree with him, and we had also a challenge, and I'm sure not only the opposition, but even ourselves as the party in government, we've raised a number of issues on CDF guidelines, which has been very difficult for people to access funds. He's concerned that we seem to have taken care of the elite. I think that one is misplaced impression. the position of this government is that nearly everyone will access the CDF through business proposal they will bring forward. So I urge my colleague to bring his idea. If he has a business proposal, he should just forward. I agree with him, and I'm sure he is also going to agree with my position that as a party in government, we have taken note of this CDF guidelines, which was very difficult to understand. And also, it was very difficult for people to say we have decentralized. The money is in the local authority, but the final authority again comes back to the Minister of Local Government and Development, which has been a very difficult process. So these are issues that we are working. This is a process, and we are getting the feedback. The way he has come, the way he's coming out, we appreciate as a party in government because it opens us. But we already identified those bottlenecks because we cannot have money sitting in the local authority, but people cannot access. And all this comes back to what we have been complaining, that we have some civil servants who seem to be in the process of trying to sabotage the new government programs. So we are identifying that some of these clauses which are sitting in our laws are not in agreement with the decentralization policy, because that is the only way how we can develop. So that area is well attended, and I can assure my brother that come next year, the story will be different. We want to have a government that will be able to listen to people's concerns. UPND as a government, we made a lot of commitments. We promised the people that when we form government, we will run this government different from the previous government. And this is what we are working. He mentioned of certain sectors not doing well. Yes, this country was completely run down. The economy was on its knees. And where we were, it was unavoidable to get a loan, because even if we have these natural resources, we need financial capital to transform our economy. And that is the money that we need to borrow. You cannot start, even if today you are given land, without capital. Yes, land is capital, but you need the finance to utilize that land. And this is the state where we are as a country. So there's no one who is always excited to get a loan. We are all forced to get a loan because of the situation where we are. Earlier on, my colleague submitted that we missed because of poor leadership in the past. I totally agree. Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, he started very well. On political front, we did well, but economically, we had not put the foundation in tandem with the resources that we have. It is this time now when we want to focus much on economic recovery. And the economic recovery plan that we have, together with the IMF deal that has been stricken, I can advise my colleague to watch the space, because as a new party in government, we are determined to transform this country to be a hub of, or to be economic hub for southern region. And this is what we are determined to achieve with their support and opposition.
Thank you very much, Neto. As Zambia celebrates its 58th independence anniversary, they can only hope for a brighter future. Just less than a year ago, Zambia defaulted on its loans, and now President Hakainde Hichilema has been hailed as a miracle worker. So there's a lot to look forward to in the future, as you've said. Gentlemen, I'd like to say a very big thank you to you, Thomas Sipalo, joining us from Lusaka, Zambia, and Neto Halwabala from Livingston. Thank you very much for being a part of this special broadcast. We do appreciate your contributions and insights.
Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us. It is still the 58th Independence Anniversary celebration of Zambia, the beautiful Southern African country, and this is a 2-hour packed program filled with insight and information as to the development and the growth of Zambia. I mean, 58 years is no joke, and we are here to analyze it all. We're still celebrating Zambia's independence. Stay tuned. We'll be right back after the break.